Oh, you've not had a good day.
We want to give it away.
This afternoon, Prince Harry and King Charles reunite. The monarch spotted in public for the first time since his cancer diagnosis. Students evacuated from a Bullsbrook campus as a bushfire rages just metres away. A win for workers. New laws limiting contact between bosses and staff outside work hours set to pass. Parents warned of the lifelong impact of overscheduling their children. And Bob Katter's cash clash at a Parliament House cafe. His fight to get rid of card-only transactions. Good afternoon, Monika Koss with you for 9 News WA First. The King has left London after a brief reunion with son Harry, who flew in from the United States after his father's cancer diagnosis. Straight to Nine's Europe correspondent Edward Godfrey, who's at Buckingham Palace. Edward, do we know if Prince Harry will see his brother William while he's in London?
Well, Monika, sources close to Prince William say he has absolutely no plans to meet with Harry while he is here visiting in London. Some are speculating that a relative or a family friend may get involved and try and broker something to bring them together, but there is nothing on the table at this stage. We have had our first glimpse of Charles since his cancer diagnosis was announced. It was not far from where we are. He was in a royal vehicle with Queen Camilla, making a short journey from Clarence House just in front of us, just down the Mall, heading into Buckingham Palace. He did appear quite well and he gave a bit of a smile and a wave as he went past some of those cameras. Just before that, he'd met with his son Prince Harry, who made the journey over here from California upon learning of his father's diagnosis. They had a brief conversation on the phone and he made the trip, and we understand that he met with his father inside Clarence House for about 45 minutes. After that, when we did see Charles, he and Camilla left Buckingham Palace on a helicopter, headed to Sandringham House, and that's where he was before he travelled here for his cancer treatment, and that's where he will remain for the time being. We know he'll be away from public engagements for some time. He'll be taking a step back, still doing things behind the scenes like state affairs, state business, receiving the red boxes and doing his weekly audiences with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. But it'll be other senior members of the royal family stepping up. We saw Princess Anne doing that yesterday our time, and today it'll be Prince William returning to royal duties. He's taken some time off in recent weeks with his wife Kate having abdominal surgery and helping her recover and look after the kids out at Windsor. He has an event this afternoon our time, Monika, at Windsor Castle, and then tonight he'll be here in London in the city. He has a charity gala dinner where he is scheduled to give a speech, and perhaps he will say something about his father for the first time publicly since that cancer diagnosis was announced.
All right, thank you. Edward Godfrey, live from London there. A bushfire emergency has threatened lives and homes in our northeastern suburbs. Students were forced to be evacuated from Bullsbrook College, the blaze breaking out just metres from the campus.
Parents have been coming and going from Bullsbrook College all afternoon after students noticed thick black smoke and alerted staff. The blaze starting around 11:30 this morning near the intersection of Herd Road and Chittering Road in Bullsbrook, sparking an emergency warning for parts of the suburb with roads closed and homes under threat. Residents warned to leave or be prepared to stay and defend.
Black, you couldn't even see up the road.
50 firefighters on the ground, support also called in from above. Hundreds of students evacuated onto the basketball court around lunchtime, with parents notified to pick up their children as the fire raged on.
Luckily they got all the kids from this side of the school away from the bush, but we've come to pick them up early to keep them safe.
Really hot, and then this big gush of just smoke and ash just came in, and it was just too bad for everyone to be around, so we got moved back further.
The fire downgraded to a watch and act around 4 o'clock, the cause deemed not suspicious.
So it's spontaneous combustion essentially. From a mixture of moisture and heat and sun in mulch.
The fire threat isn't over yet as Perth enters another heat wave with near 40-degree temperatures expected over the next 4 days.
A high-risk serious offender who spent more than half his life behind bars will soon be released into the Perth community. Kingsley Pickett, who killed a mother and child in a high-speed chase when he was just a teenage boy, has been placed on a 5-year supervision order.
Kingsley Pickett has been behind bars for the past 23 years, but that will soon change. He was just 14 and being chased by police when he slammed a stolen car into another vehicle, killing Margaret Blurton, her 1-year-old son and unborn baby. That was 1991. In the years after, he was convicted of multiple crimes, including violent burglaries, the rape of a Cloverdale woman and involvement in a prison riot. As a declared high-risk serious offender, the now 45-year-old has been on a continuing detention order since 2019. But after a required review of Pickett's offending and attempts at rehabilitation, a judge today found he could be released back into the community on a 5-year supervision order. Justice Anthony Derrick said he was satisfied the conditions were sufficiently extensive and stringent to enable the adequate management of the risk that Pickett currently presents to the community. The 45 conditions include GPS tracking, complying with a curfew, not consuming drugs or alcohol, and keeping a diary of his daily movements.
What we need to ensure now is the government upholds its end of the bargain and ensures that it enforces that those 45 conditions are adhered to and that it does not take its eyes off this individual.
In a statement, the Attorney-General said the government has made the laws as tough as constitutionally possible and offenders on orders like Pickett are closely monitored.
A police chase through our eastern suburbs has come to a crashing end in Belmont. Residents waking to a commotion in the middle of the night as officers pounced on the driver.
Well, Mon, this is the trail of destruction. The car mounting a curb before coming to a crashing halt in this Belmont home's front wall. It all started when police spotted a white Holden Commodore with stolen number plates just after midnight near Orrong Road in Rivervale. Officers using lights and sirens and directing the accused to stop. The police say instead he accelerated away at speed. The vehicle finally coming to a stop next to a children's playset in the front yard of this Belmont home. The family inside shaken but okay. Police say the driver then allegedly kicked and obstructed officers as they tried to arrest him.
Just sounded like a skid and then a crack. He was just on the ground, they cuffed him, there was quite a few around him.
The driver's been charged with 9 offences, Mon, including no authority to drive.
Oil and gas giant Woodside has ended merger talks with smaller rival Santos over a proposed $80 billion tie-up of the two companies, having previously dampened expectations of a successful deal to create one of the world's biggest liquid natural gas companies. Woodside Chief Executive Meg O'Neill confirmed today that talks have ceased after nearly 9 weeks. An alleged rape victim has taken the stand in court today, claiming she was sexually assaulted by Alberto Nicoletti. The restaurateur's defence lawyer arguing they shared an intimate moment but didn't have sex.
The alleged victim, who we can't identify, was questioned in court for nearly 3 hours, telling the jury how Alberto Nicoletti raped her. The woman is one of the 8 who were allegedly sexually assaulted by Alberto Nicoletti across a 4-year period. The then 21-year-old told the court she and her 19-year-old friend were approached by the prominent restaurant owner and another man at Northbridge Bar, the Brass Monkey, in November 2016. The woman told the court her friend was offered a lift home, but instead Alberto Nicoletti drove them to his Como restaurant. It's alleged it was in the rear car park of the venue she was raped by Alberto Nicoletti while her friend was inside the restaurant. The woman said she was terrified and froze, asking him to stop, before escaping and telling her friend to run. But the accused man's defence lawyer argued this never happened, saying the pair hugged and kissed, suggesting she was cheating on her boyfriend and felt bad. Alberto Nicoletti is fighting all 8 charges. His co-accused Vincenzo Mineo pleading not guilty to 2 counts of rape, but not facing any charges in relation to this incident. The court also heard from the alleged victim's friend, who was there that night.
The Albanese government is poised to clock up a win for workers with new laws to limit how much bosses can contact employees outside work hours now set to pass. These details from Federal Politics reporter Amanda Kopp.
A deal between the federal government and the Senate crossbench on new workplace laws is almost over the line. This is a suite of reforms Labor's trying to get through Parliament at the moment. They want to set minimum pay and conditions for gig workers. That's people like Uber and food delivery drivers. The bill also includes a right for employees to switch off after hours. That means a worker can legally ignore calls and texts from their boss, but there wouldn't be any fines for employers who engage in unreasonable contact. While the the government and the Greens are counting this as a win for workers, business groups and the opposition are concerned it'll just add more red tape.
What we're simply saying is that someone who's not being paid 24 hours a day shouldn't be penalised if they're not online and available 24 hours a day.
This is a silly idea. Of course, we need to have balance. We need to make sure that people can get that balance between work and the other parts of their life right. But the idea that you can regulate for common sense through legislation like this is fundamentally flawed.
The first piece of legislation, the first big piece of legislation the Albanese government wants to deal with this year is to whack businesses across Australia with additional cost, additional complexity and complete, total and utter confusion.
Now, that's being considered by the Senate today, while in the House of Representatives, MPs are debating Labor's changes to Stage 3 tax cuts. The opposition is promising to deliver more tax relief ahead of the next election, but it's yet to provide any details.
There's been a development in the search for missing Ballarat mother Samantha Murphy. Police evacuated part of a walking trail and declared a crime scene after finding items of interest.
Well, police have established a crime scene on the outskirts of the Canadian State Forest where SES crews were searching on a walking track near Samantha Murphy's home and they found some possible items of interest. Police were called in where their focus was around some shrubs and plastic casings. Officers say the items are currently being assessed to determine if they're relevant to the investigation.
A bit of hope, you know, anything is better than nothing to find, yeah. You'd rather find something than nothing.
The development comes as police focus their search efforts around the mother of three's home in Ballarat East. An SES line search was conducted through her street while police officers spoke to neighbours. Locals once again pitching in to help out, police asking them to focus on looking for the 51-year-old's phone, watch or AirPods.
The terrain around here is pretty treacherous in some areas.
I'm a mum of 3, so yeah, I just really like her to be home with her 3 kids and her husband.
Samantha Murphy was last seen on Sunday morning when she left for her run around 7 a.m. While some possible items of interest have been found, the search for the 51-year-old will continue until sunset tonight.
6 students have been hospitalised and a school plunged into lockdown in Townsville. Intensive care paramedics rushing to William Ross State High School, assessing 8 pupils after they ingested an unknown brown powder. An investigation is now underway into whether it was an illicit substance.
It was a powder that was brought in by a member of the school. I handed over the powder to the police. The police have sent it forward for toxicology reports.
Police have also swarmed the same school following reports of 2 juveniles wearing balaclavas and potentially being armed with a knife. The suspects are yet to be found. There's a changing of the guard at one of our Big 4 banks. The Chief Executive of the NAB, Ross McEwen, will stand down from the top job at the beginning of April. Mr McEwen was at the helm for 4 years and helped navigate the bank through the recommendations of the Banking Royal Commission. Current high-ranking executive Andrew Irvine will take over.
We've had a good run under Ross over the last 3 or 4 years, becoming a better bank. And my job, working with the team, is to continue to be there for our customers, helping those who might be struggling in these more difficult economic times.
Mr Irvine has been the bank's business and private banking exec since 2020. The union representing more than 250 Qantas pilots walking off the job tomorrow has doubled down on the planned strike, which will disrupt dozens of mining FIFO flights. Conor McGovern is at Perth Airport. Conor, the airline's also digging its heels in.
Monika, Qantas has had to cancel 35 flights as a result of this industrial action, shuffling customers, both regular and miners, onto new flights. More than 250 Qantas pilots for their regional airline are walking off the job at midnight tonight, furious over negotiations for pay and conditions coming to a standstill after 18 months. Qantas says that it's offered the pilots a 25% salary increase, but the union says that's not enough. It doesn't even keep up with inflation.
We feel for the travelling public and the workers who need to get to work, but when you've been negotiating for 18 months, when you haven't had a pay rise for over 4 years, and the company just refused to negotiate, we're left with no other option.
Mining towns are among the routes that are impacted, and so it'll be primarily FIFO workers who are affected. Monika, Qantas still hasn't been able to get 30% of those passengers onto new flights, so for those who are already on site, they won't be getting home to their families tomorrow night.
Thanks for the update, Connor. Blink 182 punk rocker Travis Barker has touched down at Perth Airport ahead of the band's sold-out RAC Arena shows this week. The drumming sensation was flanked by heavy security and whisked away in a waiting van. It's understood his reality star wife, Kourtney Kardashian, has remained in Sydney with the couple's 3-month-old baby and her 2 children. A big day on the training track for both our WA footy teams. Matthew Pavlich, a Freo forwards, ready to fire.
Yeah, fit at the right time of the year. It's always important. Getting in a good pre-season is so crucial, Mon. And Sam Switkowski has overcome a small hamstring issue during the off-season, but says he'll be primed for round 1 against the Lions. The 27-year-old looking forward to getting back into the action in this weekend's scratch match.
Had a tiny hiccup with a little hamstring injury, just a low-grade sort of 2-3 week injury, and I'm back into match sim now, so I think I'll play the majority of this intra-club on Saturday, so I'll be raring to go come the start of the season.
Across town, West Coast defender Jaden Hunt feels his second summer at the club is a stark contrast to last year. With more players on the park, the former Demon believes there's a clear lift in intensity, declaring the club's fresh faces are driving the standards.
I can see the hunger. I know I am from last year and things like that, so I think, I've noticed a real more energy group, and I think everyone just wants to improve and, prove people wrong, really.
And another Aussie's booked their ticket to Paris.
It's great to see this, mind. This one's a bit of a niche code, though. I'm not sure if you've heard of sport climbing, but Victorian Campbell Harrison will represent his country at the Games after the sport made its Olympic debut in Tokyo. The 26-year-old missing qualification for the 2021 Games, but thrilled to take part this year.
I think a new sport like climbing is a really exciting opportunity for a lot of people to see something new and, something that's very accessible for them to try themselves.
So many traditional sports at this year's upcoming Olympics, which of course you can see here on 9. That one, not so traditional, but looking forward to seeing it anyway.
That might be your responsibility to commentate.
Bit nervous about that. Now, quickly, a bit more sport coming up next hour. We speak with injured WA paceman Lance Morris for the latest on his side strain, plus how the Dockers plan to fill the void left by Lockie Schultz.
It's an important piece of the puzzle.
Certainly is.
Thanks, Pav. Perth's in the midst of a heat wave and it is expected to intensify. Natalia Cooper, how hot did it get today?
Pretty hot, Mon, but it's only going to get hotter. After a low overnight of 17.4, we then climbed to a top of 36.1 around 3:30. It was hot across the suburbs today. Quite a few spots hitting 37, including the airport, Gooseberry Hill and Pearce. Now, the heat will continue to build over the coming days. We're moving into a severe heat wave. Tomorrow will be 39, 41 degrees for Friday and Saturday, and 38 on Sunday. Some nights will be as warm as 25 degrees. It's all due to a trough which is deepening it down the west coast. That trough will move inland on Monday, so it will be a little bit cooler then, but quite humid. And it's hotting up again mid next week with temperatures climbing back up towards 40 degrees. We are copping an intense February, Mon.
So it's going to be hot and humid. That is just awful. Thanks, Natalia. Bob Katter's Cafe Cash stoush. The federal MP lashes out after his $50 note is refused. Is Cash still king? He's live from Canberra next. A price gouging grilling. The consumer watchdog hands down its findings, calling on the government to step in. And how overscheduling kids can impact their life skills. That's ahead on 9 News WA First.
This Sport Report brought to you by Journey Beyond. Do Australia by train on the GAN, Indian Pacific and Great Southern.
This time next year, experience a legendary journey on the GAN. Book the new 2025 season and save. It's Australia by train. Search Journey Beyond Rail today.
It's Retrovision's half-yearly clearance, and we're celebrating with store-wide savings you won't want to miss. Save on all the big brands across entertainment, kitchen, laundry, tech, cleaning and more. Don't miss our half-yearly clearance, in-store and online at Retrovision.
The all-new feature-packed Cherry mid-size SUV with 7-year warranty and 7-year cap price servicing now comes with a massive $1,500 factory bonus, so you pay only $31,490. Only at John Hughes Cherry in Victoria Park and Wangara.
It's the everyday moments that matter most when your child is seriously ill. You can help family life carry on at Ronald McDonald House Charities. Donate today.
One day, hundreds of reasons, thousands of legends. It's HBF's Run for a Reason, and it's happening Sunday, 19th of May. Join HBF as we turn the town teal and send community vibes sky high. Choose your distance, choose your charity, run, walk or wheel for a reason close to your heart, or just to get your heart pumping. Enter now for early bird pricing, plus HBF members save an extra 20% on the entry fee. Visit hbfrun.com.au to enter.
Looking for family fun? Tennis Court Hire makes it easy. Revel in some rallies, get fit with your folks, and catch up on court. Make family time a real hit. Tennis Court Hire hits different.
What happens to all the grease and grime on your dishes? It can build up inside your dishwasher. Add Finish In-Wash Dishwasher Cleaner to your wash to clean your dishwasher while your machine cleans your dishes. Try Finish today.
Morning.
Morning.
Mum? Did someone say KFC? I don't care. I love it.
Looks are very important to me. Convince your husband you're the hottest. If I had to pick, you'd be bummed.
Must see Married tonight.
9 News, brought to you by Harvey Beef. Worth it.
Bob Katter has taken a stand in federal parliament demanding a cafe inside Canberra's House on the Hill accept his $50 note despite a cash ban. On the current rate of decline, it is predicted that the death of cash could be less than 3 years away. Not if the politician has anything to do with it, and we welcome Bob Katter live to the program this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr Katter. What has been the response to your protest?
North Queensland, we created the Labor movement and got decent wages for everyone in Australia. And then I would argue, created the Country Party movement and we got decent incomes for all of the farmers. And we've been having anti-cashless rallies because if you become a cashless society, then the banks have all of the power and you have none.
We're going to dive a little bit deeper on that shortly, but what were you trying to buy at the cafe?
I was buying lunch, I just came in to buy lunch and, yeah.
Where are you getting cash from at the moment, Mr Katter? Because ATMs are few and far between. Even if you can't find one, they often charge.
I got a loan off I've come clean, so I got a loan off my cheapest staff.
Listen, we're going to go straight to viewer questions because it's a topic that is generating much interest. Carol Gibson says, good on you, Bob. It's time that someone stood up. Now, why did you feel so strongly about taking this further? Was it to prove a point or is it about freedom?
Hey, well, we had a very bad cyclone and the power's out for 2 weeks and you don't notice it until it happens to you. Well, I went 2 days without a feed. I spent my money buying some petrol. Then I had no cash. And, I went into, a place to buy some food. And I said, will you take a cheque? And he just roared laughing at me. I said, will you take my watch? And he said, no. So, you don't realise it, but there is a real problem since we're moving from baseload power to intermittent power. There will be outages, as there was in New South Wales before Christmas. And when that outage occurs, you can't buy a loaf of bread. You can starve to death.
No, you really do need to have a cash in your pocket then because really and truly none of the units can work, do they?
Well, the more important issue is who hasn't had, put up your hands, all those that haven't had a fight with their bank manager. Everyone's had a fight with their bank manager. When he cancels your account, he you go to another bank and he'll say, oh no, we don't want you, because you gave trouble at the last bank and we don't want you. So what happens in that situation? The banks control every aspect of your life.
And that's the thing, you have gone as far as saying that, haven't you?
You can't buy a loaf of bread. You can't do anything. The banks have complete control.
We'll go to a question
Freedom
from
is
B.
gone.
Tetra, Mr. Katter, who writes, cash is legal tender and to refuse it as payment used to be unconstitutional.
No. It's illegal. And that was the point I made at the cash register. She said, we don't take cash, and I'm sorry to advise you, but it's legal tender.
Well,
so by law, you have to take cash.
Well, Di Brennan
it's
says,
legal
though,
tender.
that we all have a choice. As long as card-only notice is clearly visible, it's a fair call. The business owner has that choice. What do you say to that?
No, he doesn't. The law says that is a legal tender. I mean, we were bartering in rum once upon a time in Australia, and they decided it'd be best if we worked, with a bank certified by the government note that represented value. So they passed legislation saying this is legal tender and it will be paid in the settlement of accounts, and you will have to accept it as the payment and settlement of accounts. So it was the law, and I knew it was the law. And Milton Dick turned up, Speaker of the House, and he said, no, for once Katter is right. I don't know if he said exactly that.
You must have liked that one. Declan Luke Harris reckons that this is the kind of issue that should be put to a referendum.
Absolutely. I don't think it should go to referendum. I just don't think it should happen. I think that any thinking person will sit down and say, do I want the banks to control every aspect of my life? I can't fill the car up with petrol. I can't buy a loaf of bread. I can't do anything without the permission of the banks. Who wants to live in that sort of society?
It's a bit like a freeway, isn't it?
That's where you're going to be living.
It's wonderful when it works, but when it's not, everything just comes to a standstill.
Well, but there's two separate issues here. One is the loss of all control of your life. That's ceded to the banks. Not to the government, to the banks. Bad enough the government, but it's ceded to the banks. And the second issue is there are physical problems with this. That only works when you've got an electricity supply. And, it might be very good to move into the new wave of power, but it's intermittent power. It's, by its very definition, it's not reliable.
On that note, we're going to have to leave it there, but we will keep an eye on your fight. Bob Katter, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
God bless all the listeners.
A much-anticipated investigation into corporate price gouging has been handed down by a former ACCC boss, calling for new laws to better protect consumers. Finance editor Chris Kohler has more.
The 80-page report bluntly finds that price gouging and unfair pricing practices have become widespread throughout corporate Australia. Inquiry Chair Alan Fells says corporate profits have risen, have added to inflation, and the government needs to step in.
Australians are paying prices that are too high too often. The cause is weak and ineffective competition in too many sectors.
Handing down the report on price gouging, the former ACCC boss made 36 recommendations to the government, including new laws to name and shame corporate price gougers and powers to break up giants when needed. Detailing several major types of price gouging, the report also pushes for a new overseeing body.
Australia's smaller, less competitive, but it doesn't warrant having higher prices.
Prices have risen fast. In 2.5 years, Australians are now paying well over 20% more for fuel, travel, gas and power, insurance and food. And nobody knows for sure where inflation ends and corporate profiteering begins. But now, a plea to create a new spotlight.
Your news with Michael Thompson starts at 6. Coming up, fresh revelations about the Sterling First debacle.
Yes, Michael Stamp's been working on this story, and what we've found out will shock a lot of people. What we can tell you, and he will elaborate tonight at 6, there were red flags, there were certainly warnings, there was concern that things, certainly enough to worry about, and we're talking about institutions who are being told about things that were happening at Sterling First. 2 years later, we know what happened. It was sheer heartbreak for all of these people who had invested so much money. It's an important story that Michael Stamp's got tonight, Mon.
And Tomo, a bird thought to be extinct, found in WA's outback.
Yes. Now, it was thought to be extinct in Australia for about 40 to 60 years. There was one that was found in Queensland. Now we have absolute proof. That is a night parrot there, Mon. No one's held a night parrot in Western Australia for 112 years, but one was found. We'll tell you where it was found. We'll tell you the backstory to this and why the science world is so excited. That plus much more coming up at 6.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mon.
Coming up next, a setback for Donald Trump. Denied presidential immunity in his upcoming court case. Could he face jail? The distressing moment a deadly blaze rips through a fireworks factory. And a spectacular helicopter rescue, a man airlifted to safety in Los Angeles. Why he jumped in the river in the first place.
Busted using a phone while driving, but there's one problem.
I don't own a mobile phone.
So what's Frank holding? Join me.
Harvey beef. Worth it.
Now's the time to move during the LDV 2023 plate clearance. Get the 7-seat D90 SUV from just $34,990 drive away for ADN holders. Visit an LDV dealer to test drive the D90 today.
LDV, bring it on.
UniSuper makes it easier for all Australians to aim higher. With more satisfied members and our top-rated app, shaping your future is simple. Look forward, think great with UniSuper.
Need a tradie? Go to tradeheroes.com.au. You'll find a superhero to help you with what you need. Recommended by personal reputation. Anecdotes, not algorithms. Find your superhero at tradeheroes.com.au now.
It's Retrovision's half-yearly clearance, and we're celebrating with store-wide savings you won't want to miss. Save on all the big brands across entertainment, kitchen, laundry, tech, cleaning and more. Don't miss our half-yearly clearance in-store and online at Retrovision.
Sue doesn't have to lay power cables underground. She just has to stay 8 metres away from the lines overhead. Mario doesn't have to wash power lines. He just has to keep branches off them. Karim doesn't have to fly a drone to check the lines. But he can stop things from flying into them. To keep our grid safe and reliable, every bit helps. But if you do see an electrical hazard, make the safe call to Western Power.
Suzukis are designed to last. A lifetime.
We love it. We'll take it.
Suzuki.
A house frame made from TrueCore steel stays strong and true. For a home that's built to last, choose the inner strength of TrueCore steel.
Get twice the tasty at Macca's with a medium fries and soft drink, plus 2 of these, or 2 of these, or 1 of each for just $8.95. Value means more at Macca's.
8 new Australian cases.
The search for the truth starts now.
New under investigation tonight at 9.
A federal court in the US has just ruled that former President Donald Trump can be put on trial for trying to stay in power after losing the 2020 election. Details from US correspondent Alison Petrowski.
Well, this was a direct and unanimous ruling. Every single justice rejecting Donald Trump's claims that a president should have absolute immunity from prosecution for things that they did when they were in office. A 57-page ruling released by the court a little earlier today saying former President Trump has become Citizen Trump with all of the defences of any other criminal defendant. They go on to dismiss Trump's claim of immunity as irrational, as it would allow a president to commit all manner of crimes while being the commander-in-chief. Donald Trump's team responded immediately with this statement: if immunity is not granted to a president, every future president who leaves office will be immediately indicted by the opposing party. Trump's party allies echoing his claims that this trial is just a political witch hunt.
I believe that they've been after President Trump for partisan political purposes. I think that's obvious, and we call it lawfare, and I think there's no other way to describe it.
So this ruling means Donald Trump must face trial for his alleged attempt to overturn the 2020 election. He has pleaded not guilty to the 4 felony charges already. This trial was originally slated for March, but then it was put on ice because of this appeal, and there were fears from Jack Smith and the special prosecution team that perhaps it would not be heard before the 2024 election. However, today's ruling changes all that. It brings it one step closer to a trial actually taking place, and arguably this is the case that Donald Trump and his team are most worried about. The charges are the most serious of the 4 criminal trials that he faces in the future, and if found guilty by a jury of his peers, he would face significant jail time.
Devastating news for some of the Israeli hostage families. Now informed 32 of those held in Gaza since the October 7 attack are dead. There's also unconfirmed intelligence that 20 more hostages out of the 136 still missing may have been killed. At the same time, an Israeli fighter jet has struck and demolished a Hezbollah observation post in southern Lebanon. 11 people have been killed after a blaze tore through a fireworks factory in central India. Another 150 are injured. Mobile footage capturing the distressing moment flames cause huge explosions as people duck for cover. Rescue efforts are ongoing as emergency crews search through and remove the rubble. Dumped Fox News host Tucker Carlson has burst back on the scene, revealing he's done a sit-down interview with Vladimir Putin. It's the first time a Western journalist has done a face-to-face Q&A with a Russian leader since the country invaded Ukraine nearly 2 years ago. Carlson has been an outspoken defender of Mr. Putin, which might explain the rare access. A dramatic rescue captured on video shows a man being hoisted up from river to helicopter in Los Angeles. It's believed the man jumped into the water to save his dog, which swam to safety and was taken to an animal shelter. The mayor of Los Angeles has asked people to stay home while the city battles one of the worst storms in California's history. Still to come, the importance of downtime. Tiger parents warned of the dangers of overscheduling their children. Are you paying too much for your mobile phone? Expert tips on how you can save. And later, how Australians are getting on board the Taylor Swift Express and fueling the economy.
It's one of Australia's strangest cases. How this man shot his wife dead and blamed it on a snake.
It was ruled an accident.
Tonight,
The gun doesn't just go off.
the gun cannot go off. The new season of Under Investigation. How quick would that eastern brown snake move? Begins with the extraordinary case.
The argument is, was it an accident or not?
Of the snake and the shotgun.
Seems to be a lot of missing pieces to a puzzle where one survives and one doesn't.
Tonight after Married on 9.
Thinking about air conditioning for your home? Save up to 30% off Fujitsu and Panasonic ducted reverse cycle systems. Building a home? Stay comfortable with our building bonus savings. Find out why it's more comfortable choosing Ambience Air.
Have you filed a claim for compensation for a car or work accident injury? Do you know how much you deserve and what your outstanding claim is worth? Phone solicitor Simon Walters for your free initial consultation now.
Josh is struggling to reach his potential. Poverty means he doesn't have the school essentials he needs to thrive. A little help can make a big difference. Sponsor an Australian child today. Search the Smith family.
It's not like the good old days.
It's not like the good old days.
It's not like the good old days. Stop parroting everything. Why not drink a Red Bull and think for yourselves?
Since when are you dictating what we do?
Exactly. You're not the boss of us. Power to the people. Well, individuality often complicates things. Oh.
Red Bull gives you wings.
just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky, just the two of us.
Serena, nothing compares.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, hey.
Are you and Jax doing the walk this weekend?
Sounds great, but my legs are aching. Even kept me up last night.
Well, remember my leg pain? I use Revitive.
The drug-free solution. Revitive Circulation Booster relieves leg aches and pains, swelling and cramps.
And it's endorsed by the Australian Physiotherapy Association.
Coming through.
Oh, someone got Revitive. Keep active with Revitive.
See in store or revitive.com.
Selling your car? Why not sell it to me? I always urgently need to buy well-maintained pre-owned vehicles with full service history, and because I sell the most, I can pay the most. johnhughes.com.au.
Try Hungry Jack's new Raspberry Float or Fairy Floss Storm. With rivers of delicious Fairy Floss syrup, candy clouds and popping candy. You'll fall in love or drift away with the Raspberry Float and the new Fairy Floss Storm. Only at Hungry Jack's.
One day, hundreds of reasons, thousands of legends. It's HBF's Run for a Reason. Enter now for early bird pricing, plus HBF members save an extra 20% on the entry fee. Visit hbfrun.com.au to enter.
As the school year gets underway, parents are starting to look around for after-school activities. Things like sport, drama and music, well, they're the popular ones, but is this always a good idea? Parenting expert Dr. Bailey Bosch, welcome to the program.
Hi.
What are some of the main reasons that parents look for extracurricular activities, and are they necessary, do you think?
There's the obvious reasons, like they might want to improve a child's performance in a particular area, music I'm thinking, sport for example, but other times it's things like they want them to be more social, they're trying to improve their confidence, and while it can be a good idea, it's not always the only solution.
And do you see that there could possibly be a risk of overscheduling our kids? Because it all builds up pretty quick.
It certainly does, especially when you consider how busy a school day is now. There's a whole lot of extra things that go on in a classroom. So it might just be by the end of the day, the thing that kids really need to do is just rest and relax.
And they can finish their sports at 5 or 5:45. They come home, they have to do homework. How can parents tell if their child isn't coping with all of that? What should they look out for?
So obviously you're going to get kids who are going to adjust to a different schedule. So they've got the new school year, new teacher, new friends, new activities and demands. But if they're taking a longer time than you'd expect to get comfortable with the sport, their resistance isn't going away, they're complaining, they're crying, all the usual signs that they're showing of refusing to do the activity, then you might want to start thinking, is it a little bit too much for them?
So we should actually treat those concerns seriously?
If they keep going on, I mean, any kid's going to struggle with any new activity, so it might be a completely new thing they've never done or people they've never been involved with. So if it persists beyond that sort of early transition time, you've got to start asking yourself why. You can ask the kid themselves. But yeah, just as a parent, start managing their stress and their activities and start to think, well, is it actually necessary to include this?
Because sometimes we persist within an activity because we want to teach our kids resilience and also, you know, the value of perseverance.
Yeah, and as I said, we've got to ask ourselves, why did we do this in the first place? So there's ways of teaching resilience and perseverance with other pursuits. So it might be an individual activity, or if we're trying to teach them to be more social, don't send them to swimming lessons where they're just swimming by themselves up and down in a lane. It defeats the purpose of why you set them there in the first place.
And if we quit, can you revisit it?
Of course, yes. And children change and develop. They get more confident. They might even do that activity at school and start to build up a little bit of a skill set, which means that next time they go and try it out of school, they'll be that little bit more confident and more familiar with what they're being asked to do.
A common belief is that extracurricular activities keep kids from getting into trouble. How much truth is in that?
I suppose that comes down to if we think boredom equals trouble. So a bored child is going to be a troublesome child. If we're not bored, we never get the chance to be creative, we never get the chance to engage in imaginative play. So I think we have to sort of challenge that presumption that boredom leads to trouble.
Dr. Bailey Bosch, we always appreciate our chats with you.
Thank you so much.
Mobile phones, we can't do without them, but the cost of living is hitting here too. The government has asked the media and communications regulator to make it compulsory for telcos to help all customers having trouble paying their bills.
Well, the good news about this bill, the telco industry, is that it's one of the only ones in the household budget where you get more each year as the inclusions get bigger and the prices are relatively stable. So You know, you can get mobile plans starting from $10 a month. You can get mobile plans with 50 gigabytes, which is 4 times what the average Australian uses, starting from $20, $25 a month. And so if you're paying way more than that, go to a good comparison website, see if you can save hundreds of dollars, and start by paying as little as you possibly can for your telco bills, because that obviously will make the chances of a bill that you can't afford to pay down the line much less likely.
If you are struggling, you can enter the Telco's hardship program, which gives you certain rights, including being less likely to be disconnected or having debt collectors come after you. Mind the gap. Next, the government is put on notice over efforts to end Indigenous disadvantage. From sky high to behind bars, a French daredevil's told he faces jail after scaling a 60-storey building. Boeing under fire. A shocking report reveals bolts were missing from the door that flew off a plane mid-air. And New Year celebrations get out of hand in China.
Looks are very important to me. You're on par with a couple other ladies. You know what? Convince your husband you're the hottest. If I had to pick, you'd be bummed.
Tonight,
There's nothing there. Just trust me.
trust
She doesn't want me to see certain things on her phone.
is broken.
She feels strongly about not doing it.
Yeah, I do.
Tonight, 7:30 on 9.
It's Retrovision's half-yearly clearance, and we're celebrating with store-wide savings you won't want to miss. Save on all the big brands across entertainment, kitchen, laundry, tech, cleaning, and more. Don't miss our half-yearly clearance in-store and online at Retrovision.
At HCF, we don't do fancy welcome gifts, just great life insurance with up to $1.5 million in payment. But don't worry, sign up to Life Protect today and you could still get a free gift from this table. Might keep this.
Safety within budget at Bob Jane T-Marts. Buy 3, we'll give you the 4th absolutely free on top brand passenger, performance and SUV tyres. Plus up to $200 instant cashback on selected tyres.
It's not like the good old days.
It's not like the good old days.
It's not like the good old days. Stop parroting everything. Why not drink a Red Bull and think for yourselves?
Since when are you dictating what we do? Exactly. You're not the boss of us.
Power to the people! Well, individuality often complicates things. Oh.
Red Bull gives you wings.
With advanced air filters and whisper-quiet operation, everything inside a Mitsubishi electric air conditioner is carefully designed to truly elevate your comfort.
This is great.
Be summer ready. Get free polarised lenses in your second pair. Save $100. Should have gone to Specsavers. Limited time only.
Oh, good.
Conditions apply.
Beware bargain insurance regret, Jeanette. Next time, go with Amy instead. Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does.
Venture around our great state in style with familiar Perth faces as they unmask hidden beauties, thrilling experiences, scrumptious local foods, and award-winning destinations.
The big question is now, what do I start with first?
Celebrating 10 years of travel in the new series of Destination WA. Sunday, 5:30 on 9.
Thanks for your company this afternoon. Right now in Perth, it is 30 degrees. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese concedes more needs to be done to end Indigenous disadvantage after a report found governments are failing to fulfil their commitments. The Productivity Commission warns if large-scale changes aren't made to the Closing the Gap strategy, it's headed for failure.
All governments need to do better. The report today is a reminder of that.
If it continues down the trajectory that it's on, we will continue to see not just the gap not being closed, but in fact that gap widening. And that would be disastrous for our communities.
The Commission has made 4 recommendations, including that governments share power on decision-making with Indigenous communities. A door that blew off a Boeing 737 mid-flight may not have been properly bolted in. That's the finding of a new aviation report that's revealed crucial bolts were missing from the Alaska Airlines plane.
This is a bombshell finding by the National Transportation Safety Board. The investigation has focused from the start on the door plug, specifically the bolts. 4 of them hold the door plug onto the side of a Boeing 737 MAX 9, and the NTSB now says the bolts were missing during the explosion on Alaska Flight 1282 on January 5th. Investigators recovered the door plug from a backyard in Portland, Oregon, brought it back to their lab in Washington, D.C., and they were able to tell from the marks on the door that the bolts were not installed. The NTSB also created a timeline of the door plug's short life. It arrived at Boeing's plant in Renton, Washington on the 31st of August, 2023. Quickly, though, technicians found that they needed to repair some rivets near the door plug. The next day that work started, the door plug was removed at Boeing, and the work was completed on the 19th of September. The NTSB obtained a photo showing the completed work, and the bolts were not there. This is huge because it points to quality control problems at Boeing. Still no finding of blame or probable cause. That will come out in the final report from the NTSB in about a year. Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun is responding, saying, whatever the final findings are, Boeing is accountable for what happened, and he says an event like this must not happen on an airplane that leaves our factory.
The daredevil who climbed to the top of a 60-storey city building will remain in custody until next week. French blogger Anthony Andolfo was arrested after the stunt and faced an out-of-sessions court. He was remanded after the magistrate told him he was facing jail over the climb. His friend who filmed the climb was fined $3,000. Now here's a Lunar New Year present for all of us. Panda keepers in China have tried to pull off a video shoot with what's called an embarrassment of panda cubs for the special occasion. But the way they behaved was a bit of an embarrassment, rolling around, wriggling in the arms of keepers, you name it. All delightful entertainment to watch in anyone's books, though. Little cuties. Hope for lupus sufferers. Australian researchers unveil a potential cure. Details next. Is Australia ready for a Taylor Swift cash boost? Just how much after the break? And Natalia Cooper, the daily temperatures keep on climbing.
Yes, Mon, it hit 36 today, 39 degrees tomorrow, and then into the low 40s on Friday and Saturday. Your full forecast is coming up from Trig Beach.
Busted using a phone while driving, but there's one problem.
I don't own a mobile phone.
So what's Frank holding? Join me.
Thinking about air conditioning for your home? Save up to 30% off Fujitsu and Panasonic ducted reverse cycle systems. Building a home? Stay comfortable with our building bonus savings. Find out why it's more comfortable choosing Ambience Air.
Did you know cockroaches crawl on food we leave out? Mortein PowerGuard Easy Reach kills cockroaches in one spray and 99.9% of the germs they carry.
More smart, more safe, Mortein.
Green, apples, pears, kids fruit free. Who wants one? Me. Yummy. Making healthier, easier. That's today's fresh food people.
One day, hundreds of reasons, thousands of legends. It's HBF's Run for a Reason. Enter now for early bird pricing, plus HBF members save an extra 20% on the entry fee. Visit hbfrun.com.au to enter.
I'm Nat from O'Brien. These cracks all started as chips. Happens a lot. We replace thousands of windscreens, but a chip repair is faster, cheaper and greener. And with car insurance, your repair is usually free. Book today.
G'day, I'm Russell Coit. So what's an old bushy like me doing behind the wheel of this fancy pants EV? Bird watching. This EV is so quiet, they'll never hear me coming. Have a look at that. I can
How do you turn the radio off?
Oh, styling. How do I stop it? How do I hang it up?
Achieve your goals and quit smoking for good with help from the Nicorette range, giving you the support you need to quit your way. Do something amazing with the Nicorette range. Available for a great price every day at Chemist Warehouse.
This weather report brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. Great savings every day.
Welcome back. Here's Michael Thompson with what's headlining your news at 6.
Thanks, Monica. Just moments away, one of the state's worst repeat criminals will be freed from jail. Hear from the man who lost his whole family when Kingsley Pickett crashed into their car. New details on the Sterling First Lease for Life housing fiasco back in court today. The latest on the sheep ship debacle. Is there an end in sight tonight? And the rare parrot thought to be extinct found in outback WA. That plus much more coming up soon.
Thanks. She's the new age queen of pop, sending entire cities into a frenzy as she tours the world. But it's not just Taylor Swift lovers who'll be cheering when she touches down in Australia. Our tourism economy is set to make millions too.
Sequins, sunnies, hats and boots, Sydney is entering its Tay-Tay era. No more so than on board this harbour cruise.
I just love her. She's got an amazing voice.
16 days out from her arrival, the fairy tale for fans has already begun.
I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
For those counting the cash, she's no anti-hero.
We've got 4 concerts over 4 consecutive nights, 320,000 people attending. We won't have seen that sort of consistent attendance actually since the Olympics.
Bringing in 60,000 Swifties from interstate and 6,000 from overseas. 85% of hotels across Greater Sydney booked out.
The breadth of Parramatta and the CBD and all the surrounds of Sydney Olympic Park, everyone will be full or close to full. And all of those cafes, restaurants, pubs in that area will all benefit as well.
And the love story doesn't end there.
So we're expecting to see something in the order of nearly $80 million in economic benefit to New South Wales.
Merchandise stalls at the stadium will open early for fans fearless enough to queue. Thousands finding happiness replicating their Queen's style, starting a DIY revolution.
We're ready for the Eras Tour.
Enchanted by her lyrics, friendship bracelets now the end game to every outfit.
Everyone just got on the bandwagon and made the friendship bracelets. I've made over like 300.
For those whose wildest dreams didn't come true, missing out on tickets, they'll still be able to shake it off with fan events like this popping up across the city.
It's crazy for me that she's going to be in the same state as I am.
It's a big job being a Tay-Tay mum. Absolutely. You know, I'm driving Vanessa all over the place.
From cruises to high teas, every Sydney Swiftie will soon feel like the lucky one. Sophie Upcroft, 9 News.
It's a lifelong disease that attacks a person's immune system, but now Aussie researchers believe they may be close to a significant breakthrough in the treatment of lupus. Clinical trials will begin shortly and will involve supercharging a patient's white blood cells.
This discovery is a world-first treatment to act as a software reset of their immune system.
Nine's medical reporter Gabriella Rogers will have the full details in tonight's news at 6. The 2024 Miss Japan winner has relinquished her title just 2 weeks after being crowned following allegations of an affair with a married doctor. 26-year-old Carolina Shino was the first pageant winner with a European background, sparking off a debate on national identity in ethnically homogenous Japan. For more on day 2 of our gruelling heat wave, here's Natalia live from Trig.
Thank you, Mon. A sunny and hot Wednesday in Perth, but it's only going to get hotter from here. We hit a top of 36 degrees around 3:30 this afternoon. Overnight, our low was 17, and right now in the city, it's still above 30 degrees. To the charts, and a trough is deepening down the west coast. That is what's causing temperatures to rise. Now, the trough will move inland on Monday, bringing a little relief from the heat, but it'll still be warm and humid. Around the nation tomorrow, showers in Brisbane, a cloudy day for Sydney with a maximum of 25. Melbourne will be mostly sunny and 24, and Adelaide should climb to 29 degrees. Well, Perth is set to swelter. It'll dip to 22 tonight. Then tomorrow will be sunny and a very hot 39 degrees. The temperature will climb to 41 on Friday. Saturday morning will be very warm, 25 degrees, before another top of 41, 38 on Sunday, cooling down a touch to 33 on Monday, but it will be humid, so it'll feel hotter than that. 34 on Tuesday, then back up to 39 degrees this time next week. So, Mon, a lot of hot temperatures there and no decent relief from the heat, so I am very glad to be standing in the sea breeze tonight.
'Tis the place to be. Thanks, Natalia. That's the program this hour. 9 News at 6 is now.
Tonight, the Christmas Day tragedy that rocked our city. Now one of our worst repeat criminals will be freed. Hallmarks of a Ponzi scheme, red flags from authorities 2 years before the Sterling First fiasco erupted. A high school evacuated in a Bullsbrook fire emergency. King Charles puts on a brave face after Prince Harry's mercy dash to be by his side. And a rock star moment at Perth Airport, Blink-182's Travis Barker touches down.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thompson.
Good evening. He's one of the state's worst repeat offenders, but today a judge ruled Kingsley Arnold Pickett will be allowed back on